you doing, everybody? Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O, coming up on the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. The NBA playoffs are in full swing. A couple of remaining first-round series. The East is all set up for the conference semifinals. We'll tell you about that as well. Major League Baseball. What a week it's been in Major League Baseball. The Yankees and Rays, the big series headlining it. The Red Sox and Astros, kind of the second act this week. And then this weekend, a lot of Major League Baseball games to preview, including two first-place teams that will be right here in my neck of the woods in the Bay Area. And then NHL playoffs are also there as well. Casey Freelove on assignment. Welcome to everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube. If you miss our broadcast at all, we're Monday, Thursday, Fridays, 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 Pacific on Facebook and YouTube. If you miss it, you can download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts on Apple, Google, iHeart, Spotify, SoundCloud, and anywhere you get your podcast. Just look for the symbol up there in the corner, the Make the Money and Run podcast. Download, subscribe, rate, and review. Pass it along to everybody else. And socially, you can get it, all of us, on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And then our email address, tell us the games you're interested, the teams you're interested, mtmarpodcast at gmail.com. All right, Charlie, how are you? Today's Thursday. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Justin. Glad to be here. I feel like it's been a year since I've been here, since I couldn't be here at all last week, so I'm glad to be back.
Very nice to have you. Casey on assignment. We'll have him back tomorrow. We'll preview all the weekend's games. Of course, the NBA and NHL full swing in the playoffs. Winnipeg, Montreal had their game one yesterday. We'll review that a little bit. But also, we've got our picks at the end. If you missed our picks segment, make sure you download, subscribe anywhere you get it. Well, we talked NBA. We'll talk NBA. We'll talk Major League Baseball in a second. But a major milestone and a major announcement yesterday in college basketball. How about that? They have to get themselves in the news in the middle of this. So Mike Krzyzewski, 40 years ago to the day he got hired at Duke, actually the day after he got hired at Duke, has announced that after this upcoming season, it'll be his 45th year at Duke. He will retire as the head coach at Duke University. Mike Krzyzewski, 1,170 wins all-time leader. He will retire after the 2021 season, 2021-22 season. 47 years it will be, 5 seasons. His first season is at West Point, his alma mater, where he played for a coach named Bobby Knight. And then coached there for 5 years, and then went on to Duke for 42 years. Charlie, very impressive statistics that Mike Krzyzewski has, 1,170 wins. You look at his track record, you look at all the championships, the ACC championships, the name he's brought to basketball for Duke, because they were not a name coming in, and then within 5 years they were in the Final Four. He's won a couple of championships, and they've been pretty much the pillar of what NCAA basketball is for the last 40 years, near half century, damn it.
Yeah. And for me, and I'm old enough to remember this, you're not, but for me, this is the equivalent for me of John Wooden retiring. You have a guy that went into a program that nobody really cared about, and then built a program that became a complete juggernaut that dominated college basketball and became the name. I mean, all you had to do was say Wooden. Well, Coach K became Coach K. That all you had to do was say Coach K and you knew Duke. So it became interchangeable. So you have to have a resume there. It's not just being there a long time. It's being there a long time and winning and developing players and building a reputation. So, it's huge. It's a major change. I mean, Roy Williams leaves this season. He's leaving this next year. I was thinking about it, that really the other really famous long in the tooth guy right now that's left that probably will be going, I don't think in too long from now, is Tom Izzo. Izzo's been there since 95. He was an assistant before, but he's been the head coach there since 95 at Michigan State. So we are about to see the real major changeover of major college coaches leave, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the new wave, because not only are these the old guard leaving, the whole landscape of college basketball is going to change over the next 5 years or so because of just things changing in the G League, the potential of the quote-unquote professional high school whatever they're going to call it.
AAU, all the AAU kids
they're not going to call it AAU because they don't want that kind of governance over themselves, or whatever that's going to be. So it's going to be really interesting. It's really, ironically, kind of the end of an era, potentially. I don't know that it is. I think some of that depends on how the NCAA responds. And if they respond as they typically have, it's the end of an era.
I'm trying to remember after John Wooden retired. I was a young kid in Southern California. I do remember when he retired after all those years at UCLA. Was it Gene Bartow that took over for him immediately?
Boy, I want to say yes.
Because he had a rough time for the first few years, and it's tough to replace a legend like that. All you got to do is just look at all the examples over time of people of individuals trying to replace them, whether they're in our business, whether they're in the coaching field, whether they're a player. It's tough to replace a legend. And John Shire, who's been the associate head coach, was a former player at Duke, great shooter. I'm sure people remember number 30 from Duke from the last 10, 12, 15 years ago when he played. He's going to be the head coach in waiting coming into next year. He's got basically the same assistant staff that's going to be there with him. They've got all sorts of players that are going to come in. He said he's going to focus on this year. Did Coach K. They're going to try and win. He's not going to really be as reflective. I'm sure each ACC arena will have some kind of outgoing ceremony that he says he's not looking forward to or he's not anticipating. He's just going to go in there and prepare like he does every year, and then his time for reflection will come after the season will be over. He and his wife and his family can enjoy it. He's still a relatively young man considering our standards. He's 74 years old. All you have to do is look at the press conference from 1980 when he had his first press conference. He was a young 33-year-old kid coming from West Point, 5 years there, very successful. And within the first 3 or 4 questions, one of the reporters had to ask him to spell his name. So I'm not sure that that's the case anymore. He's pretty much known as Coach K, Krzyzewskiville, and all the commercials and all the sponsorships and everything that he's done for college basketball, not only for Duke, but also for college basketball, the ACC tournament, anything up and down the East Coast. And then it has been a lot due to Coach Krzyzewski, Coach Knight, Coach Izzo, all these guys. And like we always say in the wagering world, this is the Make the Money and Run podcast, by the way. Like we always say in the wagering world, time is the only thing that will always cover the spread. There is no point spread for time. There is no favorite. There is no underdog for time. Time always covers, whether it's 1 minute, 1 second, or 100 minutes, or 100 years, or 100 seconds. Time will always win. And sure enough, time will eventually get to everybody. And this is Mike Krzyzewski's time. So bravo to him. I know there's a lot of anti-Duke people out there, and that probably has a lot to do with their winning attitude. People don't like teams that are dominating, and I think after a while they dominated so much that our colleague Casey Freelove, I know he's an anti-Duke guy, but I'm sure he has a lot of respect for Mike Krzyzewski. I know he talks about him in some reverence, but he's not a Duke guy, and there are some times I'm not a Duke guy either. And again, for our purposes of the wagering show, he's done very well for me over the last few years from a point spread wise, and even in their bad years, they're still good enough to play within the point spreads if they're an underdog or not a very good team. But last few years, they've gotten a little bit better from where they were about a decade ago, and I'm sure he's got another class coming in, and I'm sure his coaches will do a lot more of the recruiting than they have been before. He was actually still going on recruiting trips until this last year, believe it or not, and now he says he's not going to do any recruiting on the road this year. He's going to do it all at home. So congratulations to Mike Krzyzewski, 1,170 wins all time. I don't know if coaches can last that long anymore, Charlie, in this day and age, the way the pressures are. It's tough to last even a decade at certain schools. It'll be interesting to see what happens with how long John Shire goes and how long the rest of the coaches are. I can't, other than Tom Izzo, there are a few coaches out there. We'd have to go through the list. And as we get closer to basketball, we probably will, and we'll get some basketball people on over the next few months to talk about this, because this is a big moment. Of course, we talked about Roy Williams. Let me ask you this, Charlie. You think the factor of age and the years that he's put in and the pandemic, one other one that I hadn't heard mentioned, but I thought about a little bit, the adversarial relationship from a rivalry standpoint with North Carolina. They were all friends. Of course, he's great friends with Jim Valvano, who passed away years ago. He's on the board of committee with Dick Vitale and everybody at the V Foundation, along with ESPN, to do that. So the rivalry, but the friendship is there. And I got a feeling that with Roy Williams stepping down, thinking that it's past his prime a little bit, that I got to believe that this is one of those situations where he said, well, if Roy's going to step down and other coaches are stepping down, then maybe it's my time to go as well too.
Vasu, I kind of believe that there's 3 things. He's 74 years old, and I'm 70. And I get that. After a while, it's not that you're on the shelf. It's just that sometimes there are some things you don't want to do anymore. And I gotta believe that in a job that is that full of pressure, that has that many elements, there's just got to be, you got to say, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. And he's got enough, obviously he's got enough money to say, no, that part of it I don't want to do anymore. And that's good. I'm not being a hater there. I'm just being honest. I think the other two elements there are, I think, one and done. It has got to be wearing on coaches something. And I'm not hating on the kids doing that. I am hating on the NBA for doing that, because I think they created an NFL. They need to do the right thing and let kids come into the league at 18. If they want to send them to the G League, that's fine. But baseball, they take the kids at 18, and then they pay the price to develop them. Hoisting those kids off onto colleges, taking scholarships, taking up roster space on colleges, and making them go through spend all that money so that they don't have to spend it is just wrong. And if Adam Silver were here, I would have no problem looking at him and say, Adam, you have stolen money from education. I would have no problem saying that to him, because it's true. Billionaires have stolen money from colleges all over the country. The other thing that I think is wearing on coaches is the transfer portal. But let me say this to you. I think the transfer portal, boy, I can't say that.
Yeah, say that 3 times.
Yeah, has been long overdue in college sports, because kids were stuck for years. They'd get recruited. They'd show up and the coach would say, "Oh, thanks for coming. I'm gone."
Right, and totally, 1,000%. I hate that.
It was never right.
Right.
So for the kids, I'm glad that's there. So the NBA has been bad guy, but the transfer portal has been a great thing for kids, and I'm glad it's there. But I think you combine all that plus age, and I think he just said, you know what? They'll have me on TV. I can be an ambassador. I can do all these cool things, and I can go with my grandkids and do things. And I think it's just.
Well, regardless, it's a great accomplishment for Mike Krzyzewski. 47 years, 1,170 wins. He's been a great ambassador to college basketball. Yeah, I agree with you with the one and dones. If the kids, the thing about baseball is baseball is always, if you don't get drafted right out of high school, then you have to go 2 years to college, and then you kind of live a little bit, and then some college programs or minor league programs. Football, they don't let you come in until after 3 years, so I think that's good. At least the kids get some college education. The one and done is a joke. The G League is there now, and hopefully the NBA does that in the next contract agreement, and they take care of that.
But Vasu, let me say this about football. I've always felt that the NFL should be contributing to college football, because, again, they get away with not having a minor league they have to invest in, and their minor league is college football. And so they don't have development costs while they make gains, and that's not right.
No doubt about it. But the USFL and the Canadian Football League and other leagues that are out there now, there are professional football leagues that are trying to make it in. I just read today where the USFL is going to come back next year as well too.
Go Doug!
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, bottom line is Coach Krzyzewski retires after 47 years. Congratulations to him. All the things that went into it, he deserves to go out on top, and I think he will go out on top. It'll be great. We'll have more on this as college basketball goes. Obviously, we'll analyze and do everything for his as well too. Charlie, I'm getting a little note here on Facebook. You're getting they're hearing an echo through Facebook and online, so you may have to switch out. Let's take a break. We'll get to the NBA and the MLB in a second. We'll take 30 seconds for the Make the Money and Run podcast. We'll talk to you in a bit. All right, take care. Welcome back to the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, June 3rd. Vasu Vaddiparty here. Charlie O will be back in a second. Got a little technical difficulty. We've got some notes from people that are listening to the show. Thanks everybody on Facebook Live and YouTube as well for letting us know. Charlie has an echo coming through the system, so we'll see if he's back right now. We'll bring him in right now as well. There you go. Hi, Charlie. There you are. How's that?
Let's see how that's good.
That's good to me. So we'll see. Anybody on Facebook, please let us know. If anything's coming through, you can send us a comment on Facebook Live, on YouTube as well, too. Thanks for the live broadcast. We'll have our picks at the end. By the way, in terms of picks, you got to get on those picks for day games early. I try and post my picks early. 2-0 today to start, or at least not officially 2-0, but the Red Sox are up 5-0 in the seventh inning on the Houston Astros. They're getting blown out by Houston this series. Boston finally, with Martin Perez going today. They have a 5-0 lead in the seventh, and the Colorado Rockies. Austin Gomber. Know who Austin Gomber is? He's the guy that got traded for Nolan Arenado. Not very popular in the Colorado area, but he is one of the best things to see in Colorado. Right now, the Rockies have a 2-0 lead in the make it a 5-0 lead in the bottom of the fourth inning. So I feel 2.5 times better about my pick now based on basic math there, Charlie. How about that? Let's use some basic math for that. 5-0.
You know what? I'm still echoing.
Oh, you're still echoing?
Yeah, keep talking. Let me see if I can do something.
All right, I'll mute you while we do that, and we will go with that. All right, so 5-0 Rockies. The Red Sox 5-0 over the Astros. Earlier finals, the Atlanta Braves behind Tucker Davidson. Heard of Tucker Davidson? 5-1 the score over the Washington Nationals. Second start for the Atlanta Braves. Just give me a thumbs up, Charlie. I'll unmute you. Washington Nationals 5-1. The Braves win 2 out of 3 of that series. And then the New York Yankees. We'll figure this. We'll get Charlie back in on this because it's a very interesting series. The Yankees. That. All right. I accidentally muted myself. There you go. All right. Back with you here. A little technical difficulty here. We're still coming out of the pandemic. So Vasu and Charlie here. Casey on assignment today. We'll be back tomorrow for a full house show. All right. Yankees lose to the Rays 9-2. Garrett Cole on the mound. So Charlie, if I told you that the Tampa Bay Rays and New York Yankees, Tampa Bay always has success in New York. 9-2 victory by the Rays. Garrett Cole going in the last game looking to take 3 out of 4 from Tampa, and the Rays score 9 runs on the Yankees and Garrett Cole today. Your initial thought would be?
There you go.
That's it. That's exactly right. All right, so the Yankees lose 9-2. We'll get to all the baseball stuff in a little bit, but those are the updates. The Rays, plus 185 if you took the Rays today. Tampa Bay, you got back good dollars on the Rays, the over 7 in that game. Braves win 5-1. Tucker Davidson, his second major league start, last one against the Mets, today against the Nationals. He's helped the Braves rotation out a little bit. Braves trying to get back in the swing of things in the NL East. The Astros, again, 5-0 down to the Red Sox, and then the Rockies 5-0 up in the bottom of the fourth on the Texas Rangers in that short series. All right, let's move on to the NBA. Let's talk about the NBA. Let's start with the East a little bit here. The Eastern Conference semis are all set. Philadelphia 76ers beat the Washington Wizards 129-112 yesterday to eliminate Washington. They did it without Joel Embiid in Game 5. Philadelphia not only wins the series 4 games out of 5, they also cover in 4 of the 5 games. They're ready to beat the Atlanta Hawks. The who? The Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Clint Capella. Who else is on that team that I'm trying to think of? I watched the game last night against the Knicks. They beat the Knicks in 5, 103-89, really dominated in that series. Game 1 of that series was the closest game back in New York 2 Sundays ago. Now I'm getting an echo, so let me see.
No, I'm just trying things.
Oh, you're trying things. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll just go with it. So anyway, Atlanta beats the Knicks in 5, 103-89 in New York. They will go on to play the Philadelphia 76ers as a 4-5 seed. The Milwaukee Bucks are all set with the Brooklyn Nets. They will open on Saturday. Milwaukee is not -4. That's wrong. Brooklyn is -4 and 240, as Brooklyn is the 2 seed. They're at home. So I'll update that in the next segment. But Brooklyn is a 4-point favorite. 240 is the total between the Nets and the Bucks. What do you think about the Nets and the Bucks, Charlie? Because Milwaukee swept them when they had a back-to-back home game series, and I'm not ready to throw the Bucks under the bus yet, even though the Nets' offense is 100%.
Hey, the Nets are frustrating, but they're scary. I mean, when they put it together, they're very good. Kyrie is the key there. If he's having a good game, it's all's good. If he's having a bad game, things get iffy. And when is he going to have a good game and when is he going to have a bad game? I don't know. I mean, that if you're a wagerer, that's part of what you got to try to figure out. And I cannot tell you when that is going to be good and when it's going to be bad. And that's just really the plain fact of the matter is I cannot tell you.
It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think everybody pretty much had the top 4 seeds going in this in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta, the only underlier in that. Atlanta was pretty good. By the way, Nate McMillan, since he took over for Lloyd Pierce back in early January, remember this is a shortened season of 72 games, the defensive efficiency had gone from 115 points a game per 100 possessions for Atlanta all the way down to 102 for Atlanta, top 4 in the NBA since Nate McMillan took over. Nate McMillan has preached defense, and you can see what happened when Indiana got rid of him, how many points they gave up this year as well, too. So Nate McMillan definitely making a difference for the Atlanta Hawks, and they take 4 out of 5 from the Knicks, who really surprised people to get not only in the playoffs, but also home court advantage. It didn't help them that well. The Atlanta Hawks with a 103-89 victory. They'll take on Philadelphia. What are your early thoughts on Atlanta, Philadelphia? Philadelphia, 2.5-point favorite. To start the series. This is all pending Joel Embiid's health, Charlie.
Joel Embiid. There you go. That's the key. I think Atlanta is the darling of the playoffs. I think they don't know what they don't know. That's a team that they made a coaching change, and the coaching change ironically made a huge difference. I mean, we always tell ourselves coaching changes are not going to make a difference. By golly, a coaching change made a huge difference there. Okay, they started playing some defense, and they started the new words in the head, and they started making things happen. And it's been a big change. Embiid is going to have to be there, and is going to have to make it happen for them to win. I mean, I know they've had some nice players come together. Seth Curry has stepped up and moved into the starting lineup. Oh my God, that's all we need is another Curry doing well in the NBA. But he's done nice. Ben Simmons. I know there's always Ben Simmons doesn't score. Well, Ben Simmons' primary thing isn't to score. Okay, he's a creator. Okay, and he does it very nicely. Listen to Doc; he knows what he's talking about. I think they're capable, but I think they're in trouble if they don't have him. So I think he can be there. So he's the key to that whole series.
He is a key to the series. They're a pretty low favorite. We'll get to all the point spreads in a second. I'll give you the key. I mentioned his name earlier already for Atlanta because he's an underrated player. He doesn't get a lot of name play. He doesn't score a lot of points, but he does rebound the ball. He blocks shots, and he can run. He was with Houston a few years ago when Houston was running and gunning with James Harden leading that attack, and that's Clint Capella. If you don't think Clint Capella can body up with Joel Embiid, you haven't watched. Now, Joel Embiid's all-world, and he's got an all-around game, and he can shoot from the outside. There's a lot of things Capella cannot do, but the things he can do is he can body up with somebody. He crashes the offensive glass. He blocks shots. He's in the top 5 in block shots every year. And, of course, you got Trae Young with Atlanta, too, with the long-distance shooting. And Herder as well, too, from the University of Maryland. He's one of the guys there that shoots it out as well, too. Let's check out Facebook here real quick just to see what's going on. Still Mike Echo. I think that's probably Tony that's giving me a Mike Echo from there. So we'll see. I don't think it's I think it's on Charlie's one, but we'll figure it out at some point. But anyway, we're just going to keep going with the show. We'll get back to it here in a second. Hopefully it works out well. But let's go to the Western Conference here, Charlie. Tonight, Game 6 for the Lakers and Sun. The Lakers with a 30-point loss, the worst loss they've had in playoff history. Game 6, Game 5, 115-85 win Tuesday. The Suns can close it out tonight with a victory in Los Angeles. LeBron James teams. This will be the first ever exit in the first round it could ever happen. Lakers Suns thoughts from the other day, Charlie.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's a crazy series. we thought after that started, we said, well, here we go. Lakers to the finals. And now we're going, wow, LeBron's going to lose his first ever first round series. It happens. I don't know. I mean, Ramona Shelburne was on the talk show that I produced the other day, and she said, you got to understand that this injury that Davis has, it's a 7 to 10 day injury. And the question is, do you push him back in now? Because if you do, and he re-injures, then it becomes a 14 to 21 day injury. So if you push him in, then you lose him for another series or two. So did you gain anything? And she's really right. I mean, then you don't gain a thing. So do you short-term gain it to get into the next round only to lose? And then also, do you take the potential that you injure him and maybe something else, surgery? You have to think long here. You have to play the long game. So it really depends on whether AD can go. If he can't go, it's over. I really believe that. And it was interesting. We were discussing in a production meeting today that if the Lakers lose, then what happens to the team? What happens to the coaching? What happens to all of that kind of thing? And it could be a bloodbath at Staples if they don't make it out of this first round. I think the team looks entirely different next year. I think there's somebody different on the bench coaching the team. I think that's a shame because stability is something I think that the Lakers fans are yearning for, but they also really like winning a championship. For the Suns, I think they're ready to plod on. Now, part of that is going to be Chris Paul, and he's a game time decision, but I'd be very surprised if he's not in there.
It'll be an interesting game 6 tonight. That'll be the late game. The Lakers and Suns going tonight. Lakers early 2-point favorite. The total of 207. The line on that game has gone down. The total has gone down every game because the defenses have taken over. Chris Paul with the bad shoulder. We'll see how effective he is. Devin Booker has had a great game the other night. Of course, they were up by 37 at one point. The game ended up to be 30. Meanwhile, if you had NBA TV, let's hit the other series. Let's go over-under on Damian Lillard. How many points is he going to score to keep them alive, Charlie? 55 the other night in a double overtime loss. He did everything he could do. Hits a 3 at the buzzer to tie it. Send it to the first overtime. Hits a 3 at the buzzer to tie it. Thought he was fouled on the second one. Did not get the free throw. 147-140 loss even after all that. 55 double nickel, as the kids say, for Dame Dollar. And he goes for 147-140. Denver leads the series 3-2. Portland back home for game 6 tonight. Denver a 5-point underdog. The line 227.5. The total. Nikola Jokic played well. Monty Morris back from injury played well as well too. Portland didn't play any defense. There were a lot of guys on that Denver team that just made shots that were pretty wide open for like shooting practice before the game or the layup lines before the game. They were just making shots that they would make in practice, and I don't know if Portland can stop them. McCollum had a bad game. I think he had 18 or 20 points. That's not C.J. McCollum like. Nurkic is playing okay, but their defense is horrendous. They gave up 147 points. I know it was double overtime, but the fact that Lillard had to keep them they were down 9 in that first overtime, and Lillard hit 3 threes in that first overtime for even a chance to get to the second overtime. What are we looking at game 6 tonight, Charlie, with Denver and Portland?
I think that Portland loses. When Dane has to carry the entire team, he does his best, but they can't win. I think that's been Portland's problem for the last several seasons. They're trying to win with 2 guards, and you can't win with just 2 guards. You have to have a third player, and it has to be, even a stretch 4 would help them, and that would probably put them in a better position. That a stretch 4. They don't have that guy. They got 2 great guards, and if one guard is off, then you got a one-man team.
Yeah, they tried to trade for. I'm sorry, they tried to trade for Norman Powell. Norman Powell's been okay for them, but he hasn't been as effective in terms of defense. And I don't know if that's Terry Stotts' deal or the team itself, but their defense is lacking. Nurkic was injured. They had a tough time guarding in the post. And now they're going to have to go up against a guy like Nikola Jokic in the middle, and they have not been able to do that. By the way, Paul Millsap, very underrated coming off the bench. He's taking them to the inside as well, too. And I got a feeling that 5 points might be a lot for Portland tonight to cover if they win the game, and 227.5. If it goes to, I don't think it needs to go to overtime to get to 227.5. It might go over, but it'll be interesting to see. We'll have the lines for the games at the end of the segment, but let's go to the last series. Utah beats Memphis. I think Utah's healthy, Charlie. I think Donovan Mitchell's back. It looks like they're all injured. Bojanovic is healthy. Ingles and Carlson look like they're out. They're out for blood. 126-110. They cover 4 of the 5 games in the Memphis series as well, too. I'm sorry, 3 of the 5 games against Memphis. 126-110. They're waiting the winner of the Clippers in Dallas. How about the anomaly in the Dallas Clippers series? I think everybody thought Utah was going to be there. All 5 road teams winning, which means all five home teams were favored. So 5 underdogs have covered. All of Dallas's wins have come as a 6, a 7, and a 7.5 point underdog. 2 of the 3 road games for Dallas in LA have gone over. The last one has gone under. And then the Clippers were favored in those games in Dallas, 2.5 points, and then it went up to 3 in games 3 and 4. And now they're a 2.5 point favorite again at Dallas. I'm just as confused as any, and we've been doing this a long time, wagering-wise and watching sports, as to how the lines makers can still come up with the Clippers favored. Of course, I said that last Friday before Game 3 and Game 4, and here they are, a 2.5 point favorite again at Dallas, Charlie. Help me, Charlie.
I can't.
That's not an answer, Charlie. Help me.
I can't. I have to be honest on this show, and I can't. I'm confused. I'm totally confused. I mean, first of all, I watched that game last night, and I'm going, somebody's got Luka. Somebody's got him.
Yeah.
I mean, and they came. And Porzingis, I mean, he's the
great
tallest
game 1, great game 2.
He's the tallest guard in the league. I mean, you go.
That's not a compliment either coming from him.
I get so frustrated. I go, can you get inside the lane, please? But then he's effective. So who am I to say?
Why are they losing at home? Why is everybody losing at home?
I have no idea.
From the Clippers side, maybe there's just not enough fans there. In Texas, they're letting more fans in. And then Dallas not playing in front of fans. Maybe there's no
But
juice.
that's fast backwards, man. I mean,
I agree, but there's no juice in these arenas.
That should work in favor of the home team.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think there's any explanation.
I guess we'll have a pick at the end, maybe, of this game.
Now, Lucas said last night in the post-game interview, he said maybe we're just too comfortable at home with the big crowd.
Okay. That makes sense. That's what I was getting at.
Well, okay. That's as good of anything I've heard so far. But if I was Dallas, I would get real serious and say, hey, look, we need to put these guys away on Friday night and get done with it. Because I think going back to LA is that's like putting all your money on the crap table on one roll and saying I'm going to roll boxcar. Okay, I mean that's.
There's no guarantee a road team will win a game 7 on the road in Los Angeles against a team that's a higher seed to play for all the marbles to go up against the Utah Jazz after that, even though all the road teams have won through 5. And sure enough, the Clippers may win tonight, and if they win tonight, then we go back to thinking the Clippers are going to win Game 7, but then all the road teams will win in this series, and Dallas will end up winning Game 7. So let's see how that goes.
I don't believe that's ever happened in the history of the NBA.
I can't think of it happening in any sport. The only time I could ever think of any road teams winning in a playoff series, we'll have to do some research for tomorrow. Maybe Casey will have it. I seem to remember that it did happen where all the road teams won in an NHL series. I think it happened a long time ago, but that's basically it. All right, games for, before we go to break here, games for the weekend. Tonight, LAL, Lakers 2-207 over Phoenix in Game 6. Portland 5, 227.5. Game 6 Friday, the only game on the board. Game 6, the visiting Los Angeles Clippers favored 2.5. 216.5. That total very interesting. Right there is where you would think it'd be. Saturday night on primetime TV, the Eastern Conference. Brooklyn will be 4 and 240. 240 in a playoff series, Charlie. That's a lot of points, even for Harden, Irving, and Durant. Giannis and everybody. The Bucks are playing really well. They sure look good against Miami last week and playing those 4 games. And then Sunday, Philadelphia 2.5. This is all pending Joel Embiid's health. 220.5. Trae Young versus Ben Simmons. All the players will be there for Atlanta and Philadelphia. It'll be an interesting series for that. I'm actually looking forward to that series, and whether Embiid is healthy or not, I'll be interested to see how Doc Rivers gets them to play defense, because they're going to have to stop Trae Young. Atlanta's hot shooting right now. I know it's the Knicks, and I know the Knicks weren't highly regarded, but they did play well enough to get in the 4th seed. And here's the Atlanta Hawks coming in, winning 4 out of 5, which I don't think anybody thought it was going to be a 5-game series. I thought a lot of people thought it'd be a 6 or 7-game series. And now here's Philadelphia, who probably should have swept the series, but they didn't have Embiid for Game 4 or Game 5, and they got it done in 5 games as well too. So the 1 seed and the 4 and the 5 seed, the 2 seed and the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference semifinals start Saturday night with Brooklyn, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Thoughts on the games today, tomorrow, and the weekend for the East, Charlie?
Well, I think that the Suns. The Suns Lakers game, I'm interested to watch. I think that's going to be an interesting game to see, because it'll be interesting to see if anybody can step up for the Lakers. I don't think they can, but I'm interested to see, because I always like to see if somebody can surprise us. Portland, Denver, I think that's going to be a battle. I think that'll be fun, and of course my my bromance with Michael Malone, so I'm going to be rooting for Michael. That's a long story, folks. We'll tell that some other time. That game tomorrow night in Dallas. I mean, wow. I'm just fascinated to see what that outcome is. I have no idea how to wager that game tomorrow night. I mean, that I don't even know that I wouldn't even put just a little teaser bet on that, because I just feel like I'm wasting my money, because it's such a guess. And my other thing is that I'm really glad that defense wins championships, and the proof of that is the over/under in that Nets game.
We'll find out who plays defense. I know. Remember, Milwaukee had a back-to-back home series against the Nets about 3 weeks ago on a Saturday and Monday, and they blew them out both times. So Milwaukee has a lot of confidence going in. Of course, they lost to Miami last year in the bubble. They come back and sweep the Miami Heat 4-0, and they didn't exactly play great in that series at times against Miami, but they came back. And not only that, other than Game 1, they covered all the rest of the 3 games in that 4-game series in a sweep, and they've been sitting down, they've been practicing, they've been resting up, getting ready for this 3-headed monster known as the Brooklyn Nets, with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant coming for the Brooklyn Nets, and they'll be ready to go. It'll be interesting. I'm assuming if it's Saturday, it's the only game on primetime Saturday night on the East Coast, so we'll see how that game goes, but it'll be interesting to see. I am looking forward to the Lakers-Suns game tonight. I want to see how the Lakers come out and play. Lakers, even without Anthony Davis, they should have enough at home to be able to withstand Phoenix. I just don't have a feeling that LeBron James is going to have them lose. The Clippers, Dallas tomorrow night. Who knows? What do you all think on Facebook and YouTube? Send us comments. mtmarpodcast@gmail.com. Send us comments on our social media page as well, too. And then Sunday afternoon, Philadelphia and Atlanta, Game 1 of that series. All right, we'll move on to the NHL for a second. We'll talk more about the NBA tomorrow. Montreal takes a 1-0-0 series lead over Winnipeg. They're a little late starting their series because the Canadian teams have had all sorts of issues getting their playoff series going. So now let's explain this to everybody, that those who don't follow hockey, we don't talk a lot about hockey. The NHL broke this up into 4 divisions, and each division will have a final team coming out of each division. So they're in division finals right now, I guess would be the best way to call it. Montreal and Winnipeg in their division, they're playing 1-0 series lead for Montreal. Winnipeg, 4 straight games over Edmonton as an underdog. They win every game as an underdog, sweep at the Edmonton Oilers, and they're in there as well too. They are the home team based on points against Montreal. Montreal and Winnipeg will play Game 2. Boston and the Islanders have been a good series. The Islanders had an overtime game win. They're 1-1 with the Boston Bruins. Colorado, the best team in the NHL right now. They look like they might sweep Las Vegas 2-0 up on the Vegas Knights. And then Tampa Bay, as the Florida has the home ice. Tampa Bay has won 2 games on the road. They have Game 3 tomorrow night against the Florida Panthers. They are up 2-0. As far as hockey goes, we're all set up, and then the Final Four will be determined thanks to our friend Kevin Kirsch from The Athletic. They're going to take the 4 teams by points, and they're going to determine seedings from 1 to 4 based on your regular season point standings. That's how it's going to be determined.
And by the way, did the echo just go away? No. I thought
Okay, I don't know. But anyway, I don't know. I don't hear an echo on my end. That's all right. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out for tomorrow's show. But anyway, that's the hockey. That's the way the hockey's going right now. We'll figure that out. Let me give some baseball updates. We'll take a break, and we'll hit baseball real quick. 5-0 Red Sox in the bottom of the 8th over the Astros, trying to salvage a game of the 3-game series. Colorado 7-0 over the Rangers in the top of the 6th inning. Austin Gomber has given up 3 hits for the Rockies at home. They might, if they get a shutout at home against the Rockies at Coors Field, it'll be noteworthy just from that standpoint. And then I want to hear from everybody what they think about the Clippers Dallas series, because we are confused. I know Casey's confused. Who do you think is going to win Game 6 and or Game 7 this weekend? And what else do you think about the NBA from a wagering perspective?
Listen, I know how to go in that game, because Casey's girlfriend Becky always is right on that. Go with the underdog.
Go with the underdog.
Go with the underdog.
All right.
Becky always wins, and she always says go with the underdog. So we're going the Becky rule right now. We're taking the underdog.
We're taking Dallas tonight. All right, back with Major League Baseball. We're here every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, right here on Facebook Live and YouTube. You can download and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts, especially if you miss the pick segments. Some of us have been hot lately, some of us have been mediocre, and some of us have been cold. We'll let you know who that is as well, too. But let us know your picks as well through social media and on email at MTMAR Podcast. Of course, subscribe, rate, and review. Give us a shout. Just find that logo up there in the corner on any of the podcasts you go with. All right, back in 30 with a Major League Baseball update for the weekend, including a big series right here in San Francisco where I am. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, June 3rd, 2021. Vasu and Charlie here with you. Casey on assignment. We'll see you in 30. Charlie Vasu, Vaddiparty here, the Make the Money and Run podcast for Thursday, June 3rd. Last segment, a little baseball talk here as we have gone through 2 months in the baseball season. If you had San Francisco and Tampa Bay as the best records in baseball on your bingo card, raise your hand or let us know on the social media, because I know that a lot of people thought Dodgers, Padres, Yankees right there dominating the AL East. They are not. In fact, they lose to the Tampa Bay Rays today. If you had what I was trying to get out earlier is if you were the Tampa Bay Rays and Yankees after that great series they've had last year, and this has become a rivalry. Tampa Bay has always played well in New York. They won Monday night 3-1 over the Yankees, set them back about 3 games. The Yankees win the next 2 games barely. They get late inning runs. I think one of them was a walk-off on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then you're going for 3 out of 4 if you're the New York Yankees with your best pitcher, Garrett Cole, on the mound, and you're a $2 favorite as the New York Yankees. Tell me who had Tampa Bay at plus 185 going right there. Tampa Bay comes back with a 9-2 victory. The game goes over. The 7 total, it actually went down from 7.5 to 7. I had the over in that game, so a winner for me. But the Yankees and Rays split 2 games apiece. I cannot wait for them to go back to St. Petersburg and play the next time, because this series has become unbelievable. Boston and Houston, another good series. Houston starting to swing the bats. They're plus 55 or somewhere around there in run differential. And the Red Sox still not sold on their starting pitching or their bullpen, but they hit the ball. They're trying to salvage 1 game of the 3-game series. They're up 5-0 in the top of the 9th in Houston in a day game. The earlier finals, the Atlanta Braves, who are kind of so-so right now, but they win 2 out of 3 from Washington, a 5-1 win over the Nationals. And again, I said the Rays, 9-2 victories over the Yankees. All the night games, we'll get to the National League, American League games tonight as well, too, as we welcome you back to the Make the Money and Run podcast. Very interesting baseball season to start here, Charlie. Let's start off in the National League here as we get to the lines. Let's get to the lines right away we look at the game. The first one that jumps out to me is a game I'll be working on Saturday for Fox. The Chicago Cubs in first place, shockingly, after the start they got. Remember, they were unsure about Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, and Chris Bryant as far as free agents at the end of the year. So what's to say that they're going to be here come next year? But here they are back in first place over the St. Louis Cardinals by a game and a half. The Cardinals having a tough time in Los Angeles. They gave up 11 runs in the first inning to the Dodgers last night, and they lose while the Cubs beat San Diego. Not only beat San Diego, but they sweep San Diego 3 straight at home. I know it's at home, but the Padres supposedly a great team. I was not sold on them on April 5th, people. Calm down, everybody. I said the Giants may not have named people, and San Diego has everybody, but I can tell you that the Giants were going to be just as good, if not better, than San Diego. I didn't know how good they were going to be as good as the Dodgers were right now, but their starting pitching has come through. And while you talk about that, Charlie, the Chicago Cubs, San Francisco Giants open up a 4-game series in San Francisco. DeSclafani and Kyle Davies, who's really come back from the scrap heap from Milwaukee, and his Atlanta days as well, too. 126, a low favorite, 8th the total at Oracle tonight, Charlie.
Yeah, it's interesting. We just all assumed that the Cubs were going to all of a sudden be the team that at the trade deadline would be selling off everything, that they would all of a sudden just be unloading the team. We wouldn't know who they are, that the AAA team would be there, and we would not know who the Cubs were anymore. Well, all of a sudden you go on a win streak and you win 9 of your last 10 games, and you wind up in first place, and you go, wow, okay, what do we do now? Well, what you do is you hold on to everybody and you try to go for another National League championship, because now we all know that you're legit. So that is pretty amazing. I mean, when you look at the Cubs, for one thing, they're the only team in the National League Central that has a positive run differential. They have a plus 38 run differential. Everybody else in the National League Central is in the red. And I'm sorry, Pittsburgh Pirates fans, but you're minus 83 in the run differential. Oh, I hate that for you guys. I love Pirates fans, but amazing. Cubs, amazing. I mean, I'm excited for Cubs fans. I love Cubs fans. I have a lot of friends who are Cubs fans, and I'm always happy. I'm always happy for Cubs fans. And Vasu, when you unmuted yourself, I suddenly started echoing again. So it's something on your end. Anyway, it's very interesting to see what is going on.
All right, then we'll mute each other until we figure it out then right now. I'm interested in the St. Louis-Cincinnati game. Cincinnati series was a 4-game series this weekend between St. Louis and Cincinnati. If you're wondering why that's a big series, all I got to do is YouTube Yadier Molina, Brandon Phillips, Tony La Russa, and Dusty Baker from years ago. You'll find out exactly why those teams do not like each other. That's a 4-game series. Cincinnati only 5 games back at St. Louis and 7 back in the division. In terms of the Dodgers, they go to Atlanta this weekend. San Diego, as we said, San Diego, actually, where's San Diego going to be? They have Arizona, I believe, this weekend. We'll see where they are. San Diego, Friday. As I look through here, not good radio right here, Friday. We'll find it. San Diego will find it somewhere, but San Diego has. Oh, they've got the New York Mets coming into town this weekend, so that'll be a good matchup as well. So a lot of National League games. I'm going to mute myself again, Charlie, as we go through this for the last part of the show. But the games I'm interested in today are the Reds and Cardinals. Obviously, the Mets and Padres. Here it is right here on our lines. Yu Darvish going today, and then the Giants and Cubs with DeSclafani and Davies as we go to it.
That Mets and Padres game, I think, first of all, I'm just always fascinated when Darvish pitches. That guy, he just amazes me. And I know with Darvish, it's feast or famine. It's going to be either he's going to come out and he's going to amaze you, or he's going to be gone in 2 innings. But I love the guy. The Cincinnati St. Louis set up there. Yeah, that's a great one. Or Houston. I mean, that's that's a great one to watch. That we're always, or Cincinnati and St. Louis. That's always a great one to watch. Just because they don't like each other, never have. They are extreme rivals, and it doesn't make any difference what their records are. They're always going to play each other very, very hard. And so that's fun. The Reds need to get right. I mean, this is an important series to the Reds from the standpoint. It's important to the Cardinals because they can't fall behind the Cubs. It's important to the Reds because the Reds are falling back and becoming who we thought they were going to be, and they need to get healthy. And it's very tough to get healthy against a team like the Cardinals. So this is an important weekend for the Reds because they can't keep falling behind. Otherwise, they're just gonna be back in the middle of the pack and out of it before the 4th of July, and that's not where you want to be.
Miami, Pittsburgh with Eliezer Hernandez and Tyler Anderson. Milwaukee's very interesting scenario too. They're right there in the mix in the National League Central. They have Brett Anderson going tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks. St. Louis, Cincinnati, we said San Francisco, Chicago, and San Diego, New York as well. The Mets go in after having a pretty good series in Arizona. Let's move on to the American League here. Vasu, Vaddiparty, Charlie O, Make the Money and Run podcast. Our last few minutes here, we'll hit the American League. Lance Lynn and the Chicago White Sox, $2 favorite against Casey Mize and the Tigers. 8 the total. White Sox got postponed yesterday against Cleveland, a big series against Cleveland. They lose the first game on Tuesday to the Indians behind Dylan Cease, but Shane Bieber was outstanding in his game against he wasn't outstanding. He was average against the White Sox 2 days ago. The White Sox, as I look at the standings here, as we said, plus 79 in run differential. They lost 6-5 the other night, but they were in the 80s for the last better part of 2 weeks until their loss the other day, Charlie. The White Sox are the team right now in the American League Central.
Yeah, I really think that hiring of Tony La Russa was a bad move.
Terrible. Yeah, I can see why.
I don't think the guy can manage. I got to admit, I wasn't thrilled with it. I'm going to go on record and just say, hey, I wasn't thrilled with it. Well, my analysis wasn't too good. I mean, they seem to be doing okay with him. 33-22. They're 20-9 at home, 13-13 on the road. I mean, it's all the perfect numbers that you want from your team. There's plus 79 run differential. They're 7-3 in the last 10. I mean, dang, those are outstanding numbers. I mean, what do you want? I mean, we have been, dang, see, folks, you got to understand that I used to live in South Bend, Indiana. So a ton of my friends are from Chicago. And I've got a lot of friends that are Northsiders, and I got even more friends that are Southsiders. And I live and die for the South Side because my South Side friends, if you don't know anything about the South Side and Chicago White Sox fans, I
was born on the South Side.
Yeah, I know you were. They just never get any respect because the Sox just break everybody's hearts. I mean, you could talk about the Cubs breaking hearts. The Sox just break so many hearts. And I would just love to see him break through and get some success this year. And this team, Vasu, this team could be the team. It really could.
I like them a lot. I think they pitch well enough. If they can get Liam Hendricks has had a tough start for the year, but it'll be a good series right now. Them and Tampa Bay right now. Boston, I'm not sold on their pitching. Boston 2.5 back in the East. The Yankees 4.5 back after the final. Even Toronto 5 back. The other game in the American League, it's going to be a good 4-game series. The Minnesota Twins are 11 games back of the White Sox right now. Their defense has let them down. Their starting pitching has let them down. But the Kansas City Royals are a game above 500. Believe it or not, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're 7 out of the last 10. They're only 5 games back of the White Sox. Believe it or not, they host the Minnesota Twins in a weekend series. The minus 108 favorite for Chris Bubich, the rookie left-hander, going up against J.A. Happ, the veteran. I can see Kansas City taking 3 out of 4 in that series and really putting pressure not only on Chicago but also on Cleveland, who is not that great of a team right now, both offensively and pitching-wise. So you look at the Kansas City Royals trying to make a move. Mike Matheny's a good manager. He's got them playing well. They catch the ball really well, and they hit in clutch situations. And I've seen them play enough to know that they're there. And again, in the American League Central, like the National League Central, only one team with plus run differential, and that is the White Sox. We said at plus 179. The last game on the board tonight, don't count out the Los Angeles Angels yet. They're a $1.51 favorite. Griffin Canning, the right-hander, goes up against Justice Sheffield. 9 the total in Anaheim tonight. The Los Angeles Angels are 6.5 back of first place of Oakland. The Astros look like they're going to lose tonight. Game not final yet. Hopefully it is final pretty soon. Bottom of the ninth, 5-0 Boston. I have the Red Sox, so I'm hoping it goes final. Rockies 9-0 over the Rangers. But don't count out the Seattle Mariners yet. They're only 4.5 back. They get a couple of games in Anaheim this weekend. Anything can happen with the A's and with the Houston Astros. The A's are on the road this weekend with the Giants at home. They are in Colorado. Don't count out the Rockies at home. And then the Astros are going to be in Toronto. That ballpark in Buffalo gives up a lot of home runs. They score a lot of runs. Toronto right now offensively red hot with Vladimir Guerrero. Bichette, I don't know if anybody saw it. It's not a big-name game with the Miami Marlins last night, but they were down 3-0 and 5-2. They came back. We're down 5-3 in the bottom of the ninth. Bo Bichette hits a game-tying triple, and Joe Panic hits a sacrifice fly. They get 3 just like that in the bottom of the ninth. The Buffalo to come back and beat the Miami Marlins 6-5. They are red hot right now, and they're only 5 back of the Tampa Bay Rays, the Boston Red Sox, and the New York Yankees in the American League East. Before we get to picks, let's check Facebook out. Thanks to everybody. Hi, Jadine. Hi, Stables Media. That would be Tony Russo. Let's say hi to everybody on YouTube Live. Don't forget to download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. If you missed the live broadcast, we're going to be on picks right now. Casey will be back with us tomorrow as we do our picks right now. Charlie, I'll start with you with your picks.
Okay, I'm going to stick into the just to the NBA tonight because that's where I've been living, both on wagering and in my professional life in radio, because we're an ESPN station. So we've been all NBA all the time. So I am once again going with the philosophy of Casey's girlfriend who wins all the time. So I'm going the Becky rule tonight. I think Denver is good with that +5. And I am not sold on Portland. I was looking, Vasu, I'm sorry, I let it lapse. But, you know, Terry Stotts does not have a great track record as a coach in the playoffs. He really does not. So I don't have a lot of belief in him, in his coaching record. And I just think they're too dependent on Dame time. So I like the Nuggets covering the +5. And ladies and gentlemen, I know I have a bromance, but I did not base this on my Michael Malone bromance. Okay, so I just want to make that very clear. And then I also am taking the Suns +2 in that Lakers game. Even if AD's back, I don't think he's healthy, and I don't think there's enough there for them to stay in this series.
Charlie going with the LeBron James losing in the first round for the first time ever in 17 years. All right, for me tonight, Denver Nuggets +5. I just think they got too much. The way Denver played defense, even with Lillard's 55, I don't think he's going to get 55, and don't think that Denver's not prepared for him tonight to make sure that he does not score 55 tonight. Tampa Bay, that Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay Lightning because we already know the Rays won today. Tampa Bay Lightning at home against Florida are going to go up 3-0 on the Florida Panthers tonight, and they will pretty much close out that series and win their division after either in Game 4 or Game 5. Major League Baseball, I'm going to go with Brett Anderson, the Milwaukee Brewers, -168. The Chicago Cubs, sorry, Giants fans, they lost to the Angels the other day. You're getting over injuries right now. Brandon Belt's still not back, but the Chicago Cubs +116 with Kyle Davies, who's been outstanding his last 5 starts. They're going to come into San Francisco tonight, get an underdog win to open up Game 1 of a 4-game series between 2 first-place teams this weekend in San Francisco. If you get a chance to catch it at all, don't forget Saturday's games, 1 of 3 games on Fox, along with the Dodgers and Braves as well, too, as the other game I forgot. Tomorrow we'll update you on the 3rd game. White Sox -200 over the Tigers. Come on, it's the White Sox. We just gave them all sorts of props. 200, then Seattle +141. We got to go. Talk to you later.